What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Deep Dig of Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, with my other host over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. Go ahead and, today we're actually going to hop into a couple of comments that John Lynch made about quarterback Trey Lance. But before we dig into that, go ahead and hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe, and go ahead and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on everything that we are posting on this YouTube channel.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on in this quarterback room going in the offseason and going into next year. Trey Lance is going to be a guy who's getting healthy. He could compete for the starting job. I'll give him that because Brock Purdy's going to be hurt. But with the press conference John Lynch had, he said that Trey Lance needs to prove that he can stay healthy. And this sparked a little bit of a debate. I see people saying Trey Lance is injury prone, other people saying he's not. People are upset that John Lynch thinks that Trey Lance needs to prove he can stay healthy about his comments, period. And they think there's kind of a double standard with Brock Purdy a little bit. So what do you think of this whole thing?
I think that, one, Trey Lance does need to prove that he can stay healthy. Like, I think that's a valid comment. I think that is something that, we've seen he got dinged up twice last year in very limited play. And then he had a season-ending injury this year.
And
so,
before you get deeper into it, I just thought of what their argument, a lot of people's argument is really quick about Trey getting injured. They're saying, okay, but it's Kyle's fault for running him up the middle 10 times. And I want to say, like, this can be true, but Trey Lance needing to stay healthy can also be true. So I think, both things can be true. It is Kyle's fault he's getting hurt, but also Trey's been injured. Fair to say?
But how is it? Okay. No, I see where that is coming from. Yeah, it might be Kyle's fault, but it's also Trey's fault because Kyle doesn't feel comfortable with him running the offense that Brock Purdy runs, running the offense that Jimmy Garoppolo runs. If he felt comfortable, he would have him run that offense. But we've seen Trey cannot make consistent throws, short and over the middle. Like,
Yeah.
We just seen it. Like, and I'm not like, that's not my opinion. That's Kyle Shanahan's opinion. He's not having him run the same offense. He has him literally as a dual threat quarterback. Like, he wants him to take off running. He wants him to be more decisive, put his head down and run. So it kind of is what it is. Like, but with Brock Purdy, it is like a little bit more of like, hey, well, we've seen you get dinged up on your ribs, but guess what? He played. And then he had this freak injury that rarely happens to quarterbacks in this league. Over the past few years, it's really only been two or three guys. One was Nick Mullins in the Shanahan offense, and the other one was Roethlisberger, and that was a usage issue. He had been feeling that pain. So, I don't think you could put that label on Purdy. Again, if he does get hurt moving forward, yeah, we can go ahead and say it. Hey, maybe he's too small for the league. Maybe he needs to bulk up, things like that. But Trey Lance, if he's, again, either one of these guys, if either of them is going to be the franchise guy moving forward, they both need to prove that they have been healthy.
Yeah, I think it could be a little bit of a double standard. People saying, oh, well, Brock Purdy's been hurt. Yeah, but I wouldn't label Brock Purdy injury prone just yet. If he does get hurt next season, I'm open to the label. If he gets some injuries and misses some games, I'm totally open to saying, well, if Trey Lance is injury prone, we're gonna say Brock Purdy's injury prone. Like Jimmy Garoppolo, definitely injury prone. But I think it's not crazy to say that Trey Lance has been injury prone. A lot of arguments I see made people that are pro Trey Lance is, well, how are you going to call him a bust? He hasn't played. Well, I'm not going to say he's a bust for his level of play, but he hasn't played. If that's your main argument for saying that he's good, how are you going to also say he's not injury prone? Because he hasn't played. I have a list of his injuries here. He had a meniscus trim. That was like an injury from high school. I'm not going to really count that.
No.
He had a finger fracture in the preseason of 2021. knee strain in 2021 where he missed a game, and then he had uh the ankle fracture and ankle dislocation. So 3 injuries. He missed time twice. What do you
Very
think?
limited play.
Yeah, in very limited play. Yeah, he's only played 4 games and he's gotten hurt in 2 of them, I believe. So, and in the preseason.
Yeah, and I think it's just like different. It's different situations. So Trey Lance was the number 3 pick. You gave up all of this draft capital to get this guy. Brock Purdy, on the other hand, was Mr. Irrelevant. You gave up literally the last pick of the draft to draft him, right? So let's say you and I, we both go for this job. I get paid way more than you get paid. And the boss would be pissed if I'm calling off, if I'm not doing my job. But if you're not doing your job and you're paid way less, they're going to be like, yeah, I'm mildly upset, but what the fuck is this guy doing? This guy's getting paid way more. That's basically what's happening. I'm sure it's rubbing John Lynch the wrong way that this guy that he gave up so much for is not producing. It is not on the field. So I'm sure he is upset. He doesn't want to look like, an idiot for drafting this guy number 3, but he needs to see more. He needs to see him on the field. And I think year 3 with limited play, like this is not the situation he wanted to be in. And so I think he is really happy that Brock Purdy is there, and hopefully he's there by training camp.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say that I don't think Trey Lance could be a great quarterback or a solid starter, but he still needs to develop. And if you think about that, how long has he been in the league? He hasn't developed yet. He's been injured, so he can't even be like practicing and developing, which is not as good as being on the field. So you're basically still at this project 3 years in, and you gave up a lot for it. It has to be frustrating for the franchise. It's a double standard thing where Brock Purdy gets judged for playing good and being a low pick, so everyone kind of expects him to fall off and not be so good. But at the same time, Trey Lance, he doesn't do much, but he's a high pick, so they expect him to be great. So anything Trey Lance does, they're gonna judge him harshly, and especially him not being on the field. All you can do is judge him harshly, like critique every little thing that's happening. Like, hey, he's not playing. Oh, he looked bad in this game. Like, all we have to go on is this little bit of stuff for high expectations. When for Brock, we have these good games from him, but the expectations are so low that people kind of expect him to not be so good. Like, they're kind of like, when does he come back to earth? It can't be real. So I
Yeah, and
think
he
draft
hasn't
status is
right now.
playing a lot into like the psyche of how people are judging these two guys.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got more value out of Brock Purdy than you have Trey Lance. Like that's just the facts right now. Like Brock Purdy has playoff wins. Brock Purdy is undefeated in the regular season so far. So you got to take all of that into like effect. And again, he was Mr. Irrelevant. He wasn't the 3rd pick in the draft. No matter what, like his entire rookie contract is going to be extremely, extremely cheap. You're getting so much value out of that.
Like, if you take away the contracts and draft status and all of that and just look at play and just look at what's been going on, who is looking like the future of the team?
Brock Purdy.
It's Brock Purdy. So I know people are riding hard. They believe in Trey Lance, and I think he does make special throws. But if you just try to take all that other stuff away and look at what he's done on the field and look at his injuries on the field, what he hasn't done on the field, it's tough for me to look at that and say, I believe in Trey Lance over Brock Purdy. Now we'll see what happens with Brock Purdy's elbow, but right now I just fully believe in Purdy over Trey Lance. Because say Trey Lance does start all of next year, it's a rebuilding year for him. Like not a rebuild, but it's a building year for him. It's basically his rookie year at this point as a starter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it
gonna be a
is.
long road.
And who's to say he doesn't go out there and ball out? He is one bigger. He's more athletic. he has better arm talent than Brock Purdy. So he has all that going for him. The only thing we're missing is the on the field play. So if he can get that right, who knows? But from what we've seen on the field, it has been Brock Purdy. I will give you that.
And I don't fully 100% blame Trey, because part of this is on Kyle Shanahan for not just, trusting Trey Lance in like, hey, let's see if he can run this offense. He doesn't believe in him in his style of offense, and I don't know if Kyle will ever trust him. And so it might just not be a fit. Like maybe they thought he would come in and be one thing and they just don't mesh well. So maybe Trey Lance does have to go somewhere else where he can be believed in and run an offense that they want to run.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a change of scenery. Like, look at Jared Goff. Jared Goff is over there thriving in Detroit. Like, maybe Trey Lance does need something like that. I'm not going to say trade him for nothing, but like if you get a haul back in return, you might think about it. It's just one of those things. Like, again, we've seen when Trey got hurt, they were sitting there like loving all over Jimmy Garoppolo. After the game, they were like, hey, we feel even better now with our chances to go out and win a chip. Like, that doesn't go away. Like, again, it could be like Trey Lance could turn around and have an awesome career and be a franchise guy, but maybe it's just not this team. You know what I mean? Maybe it's right guy, wrong team.
Yeah, why don't you guys let us know in the comments? Do you think Trey Lance should be the starter next year? Do you think Trey Lance is our franchise guy? Just comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you
Later.